Welcome to another episode of MrLopezClasses.com. This is the chapter 4 about our marine transmissions course. In this chapter, we try to explain the automatic transmission, the automotive transmission, automatic hydraulic transmission. In the previous episode, we start with the procedure to disassemble the transmission and understand how the gear ratios are produced on the planetary system and how is that process. In this episode, we are going to continue with the body of the valves, with the computer, and how the computer and the valve body is like the brain of the system. We are going to analyze the oil. We are going to verify how is the procedure to do the service in a typical automatic transmission. I'm going to explain how to replace the gasket on the oil pan, to replace the filter, and how to flush the system. This is a wonderful episode. I hope you enjoy this video. Another vital component in the automatic transmission is the valve body. This is like the brain of the system. Yes, the valve body work together with the computer. The valve body is located in the bottom, practically submerged in the oil pan, and the computer is part in the bottom of the valve body, and on the computer normally is inserted the filter, like the picture that you have on the screen. Yes, the valve body is the control center of the automatic transmission. It's the brain. Contains a maze of channels and cavities that direct the fluid to different valves and then activate the clutch packs, the servo valves. All the hydraulic systems are activated from this labyrinth or cavities and passages. This is the brain of the system. It's similar to the brain. If you cut the brain, you have similar paths. Okay, and those in the valve body, you found that pressure regulators, a lot of pressure regulators, in order to increase or decrease the pressure in different circuits. Exactly the same like in electricity. And yes, this is the typical composition of the valve body. The valve body is the control center. Contains solenoids, contains servo valves, and contains springs with needles in order to increase the pressure of the system. Yes, this is the typical valve body and the computer. The oil pan is removed. You found it, the computer and the body of valves. The computer, of course, on the computer enter the oil filter. You remove the oil filter that you have on the screen, and you have access to the computer. The computer have the plugs for the solenoids, the solenoid for forward, for reverse. In this particular case, two planetary sets, 2 gears, other 2 gear ratios for forwards, and this is for reverse. And this is the computer. Yes, the computer is suspended into the oil pan, into the oil, and all the circuits are suspended in the oil. But this is not a problem because those circuits are protected. This is the main computer, and this is the body of valves. As you can see, my friends, the brain of the system is located in that area, in the oil pan, where the filter, the computer, and the valve body are located. Yes, in the side of the valve body are located the solenoids. There are solenoids for forward, for reverse, for first gear, for second gear, for overdrive. For each movement, you have one of those solenoids, and those solenoids are activated from the computer, and the computer receives the signal from the harness of the engine and the transmission, according with the RPMs and according with the load
each sensor is activated. This is magic. This is magic because this is the computer of the system that convert mechanical input information, meteorological input signals into electric pulses and activate those solenoids, and the fluid goes in one direction or other direction. This is the secret. The valve body is made of teeny cavities where the oil is pushed by solenoids and activate different close packs, different servo valves, different planetary system in one direction or other direction. This is, in my opinion, the brain of the system. Yeah, it's exactly the same like in generators. In the automatic transmission, you can adjust the gain. What is the meaning of that? In some cases, you have complaints that everything is new one, in perfect condition, the oil, the transmission is new one, but when you engage forward, take too much time to engage forward or too much time to engage reverse. You need to adjust the gain. And it's pretty similar like the procedure that we adjust the gain on the generator, you remember, in our book of electricity, the chapter 14. Yes, it's, in this particular case, is with the springs and screws on the side of the valve body. And but all of those should be calibrated for professional technicians specialized in automatic transmission. If you don't have experience, don't try to do that, because that one should be according with the manual, according with the manufacturer specification, and according with the experience of a technician with years working especially in transmission, especially in automatic transmission. Yes, my friend, all of those elements can be adjusted, but probably you don't have the experience to do that. I want that you know how the automatic transmission works and how the automatic transmission could be serviced and the procedure to do the service. But if you have a chance, visit a dealer in order to do that process. Okay, my friend. Other important element that I want to analyze is the temperature. The temperature in an automatic transmission, the temperature of the fluid is critical. If not, the friction material is gone, is eroded, and immediately you have problems. Remember, in automotive applications, the fluid goes out to the radiator, like in this particular case, and the radiator reduces the temperature of the oil, and the oil returns into the transmission at low temperature. In marine application, the oil goes out into the oil cooler. All the marine transmissions, gas or diesels, they use oil cooler. And of course, the oil cooler have the pass of salt water in the middle, salt water, and the oil circulate internally through the pipes of the oil cooler. And both of them are critical. In order to keep the transmission at normal operational temperature, a portion of the fluid is sent out through the steel pipes in a bronze compartment. This is the heat exchanger. And the fluid passing through this chamber is cooled and then returned into the transmission with a low temperature. This is the cycle in marine application. Is very common, and is one of the oil coolers that normally are in a typical inboard engine. You remember we have oil cooler for transmission, oil cooler for engine, heat exchanger for coolant. We have other heat exchanger for air, the intercooler. Other heat exchanger for fuel, the fuel cooler, and other heat exchanger for hydraulic fluid for the power steering. Alright, my friends, and those are the typical oil cooler. This is the oil cooler in a typical inboard transmission. This is an inboard diesel transmission, and yes, this is the oil pump. We are going to analyze in the next episode the oil pump. Those are the lines. This is the oil cooler. The salt water enter over there, continue, enter here, continue over there, and the oil enter here, circulate over there, and return. That's the oil cooler. And once again, the construction is in copper nickel, the famous 9010 alloy. You remember? 90% of copper, 10% of nickel. And for that reason, if you analyze the sample of the oil for the transmission and you found a high content of nickel, you have a crack on the oil cooler. If you have high content of copper, you have a crack on the oil cooler. And of course, for that reason, you have a milky oil in the transmission. This is very, very important. And now we are going to analyze the fluid. The fluid, once again, is, in my opinion, the most important factor in the service of those transmissions. That oil should be the oil recommended by the manufacturer. Be careful, because the automatic transmissions are too sensitive with respect to the quality of the oil. You found that oils that, if you check in the gallon in the back, they say for European transmission exclusive for Volkswagen and Nissan. This one is for European transmission exclusive for BMW, exclusive for Mercedes-Benz. Never try to use the oil of an European transmission in an American transmission or vice versa. You destroy the transmission immediately. The friction material on the plates, the friction material on the bands is gone in fraction of seconds, because the detergents, the additives used in each oil is completely different. Right? Be careful. Other important thing is the hydraulic oil expand with the temperature, of course. For that reason, when you remove the dipstick, there are two marks. One mark when the oil is cold, and other mark when the engine when the temperature of the fluid is hot. And you need to be careful where is located the level of the fluid according with the temperature of the transmission. The temperature of the transmission affect the performance of the transmission, of course. Alright, the majority of the components on a transmission are constantly submerged in the fluid, included the clutch pack, the bands, the computer, you remember, everything is submerged in oil. The friction surface on those parts are designed to operate properly only if they are submerged in oil. For that reason, the level of the oil in hydraulic transmissions, the marine transmissions are hydraulic transmissions. For that reason, the level of the fluid is critical. The level of the fluid and the quality of the fluid recommended by the manufacturer is mandatory, is important. Never use an oil, generic oil. Be careful with the generic oils, especially in transmissions. Those generic oils damage those transmissions. Use only the fluid recommended by the manufacturer in the service manual. Check the service manual and try to flush the oil according with the intervals recommended by the manufacturer. That's the service, no? The service that I explained. In automatic transmission, the recommended service intervals is every 30,000 miles or 30 months. Check the service manual specific for your transmission. The automatic transmission fluid, ATF, should be replaced as sooner if the dipstick reveals a dark color or smell like a burnt oil. I recommend use napkins, because on the napkin you can verify the colors. Normally the color is pink. If the color turns brown, that's not good, or black, that's not good. And the service is too simple. The procedure, the step number one is drains the transmission fluid completely. Before of that, the recommendation is try to run the engine until the operational temperature, and after that drain. If you have a drain plug on the oil pan, it's better. If not, I am going to explain right now the procedure to remove the oil pan. Of course, raise the vehicle. If you have an elevator, it's better, or try to improve an elevator in your shop. Okay, and now we are going to check the step number 2 is remove the bolts from one side of the transmission pan. Yeah, this is the recommendation. I normally recommend loose all of them. Only loose, not remove. And try to keep on place 2 bolts in diagonal. of course, try to put a container to collect the oil in the bottom. You need a big container with a bigger diameter than the oil pan, because we are going to spill a lot of oil. Okay, and you have 2 bolts in diagonal, and right now you can incline, because those bolts are loose, you can incline the oil pan and you can drain a lot of oil. And after that you lose one of the bolts and you let that the oil pan goes down and you drain that oil. And after that you remove the other one, and finally you drain completely the content of the oil pan. Yes, you need to be prepared with gloves, with a lot of pads of oil absorber around the area, and you need too much patience, too much racks, and you need to be organized and clean. Remove the bolts from one side of the transmission. Take care with the exhaust manifolds, because the exhaust manifolds normally are pretty close to the oil pan of the transmission. Correct? Okay, immediately you remove the oil pan. You need to remove the gasket of the oil pan. Clean the oil pan. This is the magnet. Remove the magnet. Remove the particles, the iron particles on the magnet. And in this area, remove carefully the gasket, the old gasket, and clean that area. Don't touch this area. In this area you have the computer and the filter. Right now we are going to explain the procedure to verify that. Okay, and now exactly this is the situation. Right now we have access to the valve body. This is the valve body, and those are the solenoid. Be careful with the solenoid. Don't touch the solenoid. Don't touch those cables. And this is the filter. Normally the filter have 2 bolts in diagonal, or in some cases no bolts, only enter by pressure. And you remove that filter. This is the filter that you need replaced. When you order the kit to do the service on the transmission, you receive the filter, you receive the gasket, and you receive the oil, and a couple of O-rings. One O-ring is an O-ring located in the pipe of the filter. Right now I am going to explain what is this. This is the procedure in order to put in back the new filter. Be careful with the O-rings. Install the O-rings appropriated, and put in back the filter, the new filter. It's not complicated. Alright, now if you have the new gasket, attach the new gasket to the oil pan. I don't recommend silicone. Normally I put a little film of grease in both sides of the gasket in order to produce good seal, and that's it. I approximate the oil pan. I put in diagonal 4 bolts, and I start to tighten the bolts in diagonal, and finally I torque those bolts according with the manufacturer specification. Let me explain something before you do that. Normally, before I put in back the oil pan, I check the thread in all the bolts. This is the automatic transmission is one of the elements in the engine that produce a lot of leaks, and normally those leaks are on the oil pan, because when the people remove the oil pan, after that they have leaks, and basically it's because the thread in the housing of the transmission, the thread of those bolts are damaged. For that reason, I recommend with your hands try to enter all the bolts before you put in back the oil pan, and verify that those bolts enter properly and tight. If one bolt enter and is spinning, you need repair the thread, or insert a bushing. In the class of intro, I explained the procedure to install bushings, inserts, and fix that thread. If not, after that you have a leak over there. Alright, if you lose one of those bolts, never try to put a bolt with a different thread, because you damage the aluminum thread on the housing of the transmission, and 100% sure that you have a leak in the future. before you put in back the oil pan, check all the bolts, all the threads. And in each bolt, use Loctite, I recommend, in order to avoid leaks. Okay, my friends, and right now is with respect to the service manual, check the procedure to tighten those bolts, and the torque recommended normally is around 15 foot-pounds, but depend on the manufacturer. Don't try to tighten more because immediately you damage the thread. The thread of those bolts is too sensitive. It's easy damage that. Don't use impact tool because you damage the thread of the bolts. Believe me, with your hand, with the ratchet. This is a sensitive material. And that's it. This is the procedure to change the oil. This is the procedure to replace the oil. This is the procedure to do the service in automatic transmission.